type of worker has entered the workforce. They're called Millennials, and they're terrible.
We should cut them some slack. When they were growing up, their parents drank and took naps at work.
Different generations do have their quirks, and when Bill O'Reilly complains about entitled young people who can't communicate, lots of older people agree with him.
He's the best man on TV, and he is right about everything he says about that.
Is the younger generation not as good as we were?
No, they're not. Too many video games, too much not engaging in what's going on around them.
Are the millennials lazier?
They're not more lazier. They are just a little bit more comfortable with the situation of not doing anything. They're okay if they don't study. They're okay if they don't work.
Okay, if they don't work? That attitude is the reason why Charlotte Hayes wrote, "When did white trash become the new normal?" But Jason Dorsey says, cut us young people some slack. He's called the Gen Y guy because he researches millennials for a living. You can make a living researching millennials?
You sure can. Well, there's 80 million of us in the U.S., and we're transforming the workforce and the marketplace, and people can't seem to figure it out. So we need data.
You're now the largest group. It was we baby boomer. Now it's you guys.
And now you just complain about us.
Well, if there are more of you, it sounds sad. New York Post says you're the worst generation. Idle trophy kids, says the Boston Globe. Do you dispute this?
At the end of the day, all these people griping, Bill O'Reilly, my dad, everybody griping. Entitlement is a learned behavior. You are not born entitled. You have to be raised that way.
So we taught it to you?
Absolutely, 100%.
Charlotte?
He's got a point there. This is a generation that's been spoon-fed self-esteem. So yeah, we taught it to them. I think they're going
spoon-fed self-esteem.
Yeah, they have self-esteem.
You're wonderful no matter what you do.
Their parents hover around them. They're not allowed to fail. They're not allowed to learn by failing. They never have to sink or swim. So yeah, we taught it to them.
And interviewing people on the street, I was surprised that other young people said, yeah, compared to other generations, we're slackers.
I feel like young people expect everything to be handed to them now, and I am one of those young people, but I don't know. When you hear like your grandparents talk, the way we live is really different now.
Our parents' generation is just more hardworking in general.
Yeah, we're more hardworking.
I think the biggest issue is when stuff is not working out for us. Do our parents let us move back home or not? And do we expect somebody to come in and save us?
There's a term for living at home with your parents too long. It's failure to launch. And a lot of this generation is suffering from failure to launch. Look,
but let's just be clear. If you look at the data,
it's failure to parent.
Pew shows about
36% either live with their parents or in school.
But it's not that different. It used to be 32%. And what's so terrible about that?
Look, going out on your own is how you become an adult. And if you have too many people living at home and too many parents welcoming their kids at home, we're in trouble as a society. We've never had a large group of people who fail to grow up. Maybe my generation has been accused of that.
But look at what these kids have created. Facebook, YouTube, Firefox, Groupon.
Yes. They've created great things, and they're wonderful with the Internet. Unfortunately, not everybody is that
wonderful with all we've done is create internet jobs. We start restaurants, we own a construction company. I mean, we do a lot more things than just text without looking.
The Department of Labor did a study tracking people for 10 years, and they found, I think 2 years ago, that the 26-year-olds in that study, 14% of them weren't doing work for pay. Now that's bad news. They weren't going to school, they weren't doing work for pay, they weren't inventing Facebook. It's great for the people who have invented Facebook, but that's not the whole generation.
Yeah. Let's put that in context though, right? So the workforce participation right now from the 25 to 34 demographic is 81.7%. That's pretty good. I mean, historically, is that fantastic? No.
Slower than it was.
What we see is a lot of employers are saying, you know what? I don't want to take a flyer on that 17, 18, 19-year-old. I'll let somebody else who I know is going to get here early, dress a certain way, and do these certain things. We are seeing this constantly.
So your generation won't get there early?
The assumption is we won't, and so in some cases we're not getting a chance. Our generation has extremely valuable skills. Do we need
But you acknowledge that they're different, and they're weird.
Of course we're different. Every generation is different. How is that weird?
How are they different?
Well, I mean, for me, I communicate differently, right? I got to see how you guys communicated earlier. I mean, you want to actually make a phone call and leave a voicemail, which would freak freak me out. Like, oh, there's somebody left me a voicemail, clearly not in Gen Y. So we see communication.
So the employer's supposed to say, these people are weird, but maybe they have a better way, and back off?
It depends if the employer really needs that skill set. If you're in a market, absolutely, where Gen Y has the skill set you need, such as technology, some of these quick service restaurants, retail, and you want that skill set, and that's the employment group, and doing one or two things that are free and save you time, absolutely they should do it.
Look, Gen X people walk in and they say, I want to make a difference today. I want to be a manager today. And it's great to want to make a difference and be a manager, but you know what you're supposed to do on your first day? You're probably supposed to file papers.
Gen Y doesn't even know what it means to pay your dues. So we literally do not know what's expected when we show up.
It's worse than we thought. It's worse than I thought.
It is worse than you thought. I never was taught how to shake hands, look you in the eyes, have a conversation, and do all the stuff that you guys were taught by your parents around the dinner table.
You weren't taught to
jobs.
shake hands and look someone in the eye?
Where would we be taught? Seriously.
Gen Y, by
I've
their
spoken in
parents.
700 schools. Nobody teaches this stuff. I wrote a bestseller on it because it was, here's how to shake hands and tie a tie, right? 50% of us come from divorced homes. Our parents are not teaching us this stuff.
This idea that they only want the right job. Here's an illustration of that from the TV show Girls.
You remind me a lot of myself 10 years ago.
Thank you. Speaking of which, I don't want to be here in 10 years. That is not my plan.
All right, Hannah. There's a lot of other people who would love to have your job.
That's it?
This is the attitude.
Yeah. Well, that ticks me off, John. You learn to climb by doing the really lowly level things. And look, I think it's great if you invent the Facebook or whatever. Al Gore, of course, invented the Internet. I think all of that's great.
But the guy really did invent Facebook.
Yeah. You've got to do the grunt work. Yeah. And this generation won't do that. You've got to shake hands and look somebody in the face.
Yeah, we're agreeing on this. Here's the issue, though, right? If you will give me one example, a short video that I can watch, I guarantee they'll do it. If they won't, you roll your eyes like that, there you go.
Thank you, Jason Dorsey and Charlotte Hayes. As the battle of the ages continues, I want to ask, what's the difference between Miley Cyrus and Madonna and Elvis? That's